Awesome. My name is Natasha Durst. I'm the owner and co-founder of Just Roommate, and I have here the most beautiful and amazing Terri Matthews. And you do so much, so I would really actually love for you to just kind of get everyone up to speed to just share all of your amazing accolades and accomplishments, and then we'll get more into kind of what motivated you and your whole story.
So how about we just start with, I'm a servant, and I wear many different hats in the autism community, in the business community. And, you know, I have a passion for women-owned business. I have a passion for business in general, but especially women-owned business. And what started me in the autism space is the fact that I have an adorable 11-year-old son named Jaden. And he is my reason for focused on the autism community. And I came from very humble beginnings. So a combination of all the different things is what's kind of propelled me the direction that I am in today. So I don't like talking a whole lot about myself. So it's better probably that you ask questions. I think the accolades are what the world needs to prove some level of credibility and recognition, but I don't do what I do for the accolades. I mean, I'm grateful to have all these awards. I know you can't see either in my wall or on in my office. I used to actually keep them in boxes, and my husband said, "Hey, hang these up," you know. But I try to remind myself consistently, you know, like God sees what I do, and at the same time, I'm grateful for the recognition, but it gives me the accolades that I need to sometimes get through the doors that I need to get through that people wouldn't allow me had I not had the accolades. So I understand.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's first parse it out, and let's start with business. So what attracted you to the business world? What made you say, I have to be an entrepreneur and be a serial entrepreneur?
So number one, I will say, when I first initially started out, you know, I worked in corporate America like many people. I came from very humble beginnings. I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. I put myself through college. And, you know, I was in college by the time I was 16. I turned 16 in college. That's very true. Some people say it's because I'm smart. I say it's because I wanted to have a different lifestyle that unfortunately at the time I was going through. So fast forward the story, I would end up working in human resources and identifying problems and organizational structure and development and all sorts of things like that. And I recognized that I was solving a lot of problems for large corporations. I would go into consulting, and I would spend a lot of time helping rich people get richer and solve a lot of problems. And I thought to myself, I didn't want what they had. I wanted to do better than what they had done, if that makes any sense. So for me, it was more like, you know, I cared about people, and I was a person that lived paycheck to paycheck. I was mom at 18, you know, and I thought I can kind of take these skill sets and I've always said that if you invested in people, you know, you'll get a good return on your investment, because people don't care about how much you know, they care about how much you care. So, you know, with me having that sort of mindset, so I would later on, fast forward life, solving all of these problems, everybody wants you to become their business partner. And I couldn't be everybody's business partner. So I started businesses and figured in some respects I was good at it. The Lord would later show me, I'm fast forwarding the story, but the Lord would later show me how some of the challenges that I had to overcome as a child and solving many problems as a child, how it had prepped me for my work that I do today. And, you know, entrepreneurship is not just about, you know, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur to make money. I think that you have to kind of define what entrepreneurship, just like you need to define what success means for you. And it looks different for every person. I think I'm equipped the way that I am so that I can help at the level that I need to help. So
amazing. Okay. And just to get everyone up to speed, what are the businesses you particularly like to be in, or the industries that you focus on?
Ooh, that's a hard question, because I have owned or participated in quite a bit. So I've owned alcohol companies, and I've never even drank alcohol. Most people didn't know, as a Black female, I owned a vodka company. Construction companies, clothing companies, technology, environmentally friendly companies. I'm a part of a VC group and have been, where I invest in companies. I used to do it as an angel investor. There's new opportunities for me at this juncture in my life to invest in companies that have established themselves somewhat. I've done a lot, and sometimes when I think about it, I'm kind of like, I think I said construction, commercial buildings, residential buildings, healthcare is something else. So I've worn a lot of hats, and for years, you know, certain people say, oh, I own a business, but I've actually owned businesses, generated revenue, hired employees, created opportunities. And I'm not knocking people that say they own a business, but I want you to really understand that it's real. So, hence the reason why, you know, we're doing this event called Next Level here in Philadelphia. You know, just recently over the weekend, I was in Atlanta. I had the opportunity to work with Arian Simone, who owns a brand called Fearless, Keisha Knight Pullum, who everybody knows is Rudy Huxtable. A friend of mine, Monique Rodriguez, if you've heard of the products Mael, she's absolutely everywhere. She's in 24,000 stores, doing extremely well. And amazing. Sarah Blakely, who is the owner creator of Spanx and worth $1.6 billion. So we spent some time listening to some pitches this weekend. We are awarding people $100,000, providing some supports to them to help them really execute their business. What I found in this is that a lot of us, especially as minorities and women, we don't always have access to all of these things. We kind of learn the hard route. Like, we figure it out. It takes us a lot longer. Some of us get ambitious. We build our businesses, but we have not really built them the way that we should. Whether it be a legal structure, we don't think about scaling our business. We stay operating our business instead of letting the business operate itself, and we can kind of move on. You know, some people don't mind being in their business day to day, but you have to, in my mind, you should create revenue streams where you don't have to be in your business day to day.
Gotcha.
And so Next Level is about that. I've invited some team members that I work closely with and work closely to me and my businesses, not all of them, some of them. But I think it's important. I want this event that I'm doing for Next Level. I believe in helping them build their vision, but you build from the inside out. Because a lot of times we build businesses, right? But we're bitter inside. We're not good people managers. We don't know how to lead folks. You know what I mean? Like, really, business is just one part. But girl, if you don't like people, maybe you shouldn't be a concierge service. You know what I mean? There's some stuff that we got to really deal with us. And, you know, when you think about a foundation of building something, you are the foundation of whatever this business is that you're building. So if your foundation isn't right, if it's not leveled, if you haven't dealt with some things, you're bitter. You're hateful. How can you network and be hating on people? You know, networking communities are very small. So you start talking about this person over there or over there, they might be the key, you know, that or bridge you might need to cross. So I want to start building people from the inside out. And then I want to give you the right tools. Like, when should you bring accounting on? Do you know what a Dun & Bradstreet is? Are you still trying to run everything off of your 550 credit score? You know, and not knocking anybody's credit score, but just really saying it's time out to say, I own something, and we want to take an Instagram pic, and we want to show the world what we're doing, but we're not generating any revenue. We're not changing any lives. We're not giving back to our communities. And we're still in the same spot year after year after year. So I want to move and motivate people to the next level and help them really understand what it takes. Which starts with you. Which starts with you.
Okay.
Because
absolutely.
We in order for us to be successful, you know, we need to at least we're not going to be perfected, but you should at least know how to deal with some of your own issues.
Absolutely. All right. And so with Level Up, could you share details as to where people get tickets, what the agenda is for them, and all of that good stuff?
So Next Level, you can go to terrimatthews.eventbrite.com. And let me share this with the audience, because I want to make it plain. This last event that just happened where Spanx did it, it was $497 a person. And they did not feed you. It was an event that you came to, you had an opportunity to pitch. I'm saying that because we have priced this so reasonably because we want people to invest in themselves. We are feeding you. You are getting half of these people that you would speak to, you wouldn't even pay probably less than $500 a consulting fee just to ask them questions. So we are feeding you. You're going to be able to participate with real people who do real work with real folks at all levels. I mean, Albert Solar alone, who's one of my attorneys, Albert has a wealth of knowledge in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. You know, people who are trying to make these deals, you know, online, branding deals and all of that. Jade Kendall, she does brand deals right now. She's a huge Instagram influencer. How does it work to do a social media deal? Because everybody's getting, you know, money off of social media. Not everybody's going to networks. You know, you got Megan, who's about accounting. What can you do when you can't really afford to hire an accountant if you're just not there yet? What stuff should you be tracking in your business? You know, how do you make yourself, how do you legitimize yourself? When you think about people for branding experts, graphics and colors and all these things play a huge role. What attracts companies to you? Like if you have a particular idea or brand in mind, what would make Coca-Cola come along and buy your company? What would make Honest Brand come along and buy your company? What would make Facebook invest in your company? You know, these are the types of things that we want to talk about. But it starts, you know, we kick it off with building your vision, but building you first. So I open it up with doing that. And then you have all these different experts, nonprofits. We all, you know, we always have a nonprofit, but tell me this, how come there are nonprofit organizations that exist that either A, can generate revenue? I go through the same issues with Jaden's voice, but generate revenue, donations. Are they filing their stuff correctly? Are they running around here calling themselves nonprofits and they don't even have a 501c3? You know, all these, like what things should you actually be tracking? What really makes you a nonprofit? We have one of the top nonprofit experts who teaches all over the, you know, the United States, especially for Penn, about nonprofits and how to really run those organizations. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's here that people will walk away with, not just opinion, but expert consultation to get you. You should be able to walk out of that room and start or fix what you think you started. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah. Awesome. So date and times and
so, I always forget about that part. So thanks for reminding me. It's October 7th.
Okay.
We're kicking it off. Registration is roughly about 1 o'clock.
Perfect.
You know, we like to be on time. Not CP time, on time. So we'll be kicking it off at 1. We want to give people time to eat, but it's a jam-packed schedule. And in that process, we're building a vision board. So, you know, this isn't about, you know, people think about a vision board party and I'm just going to cut a bunch of magazines out and stick a bunch of stuff on here that I'm not going to do. I don't have any intention on doing, or I want to think about it, but I don't have a strategy to get it done. We're actually going to put things on these boards that you really can get done. And we're going to give you the tools so you know that you can get it done.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, I have your website pinned so everyone can go and click and get their lives together and their businesses together. And what you mentioned was remarkable. It sounds like it's not only fundamentally going to be transformational, but also just like taking a deeper look, because I agree with you. I think when you are on the path of entrepreneurship, whether you're a newbie, whether you've been out 10 years, there's always something to learn. There's always something to grow at and to really get real with yourself. What do you, like you said, what do you want out of your business? Do you just want to operate it? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to give back to your community? What do you want, right? And I think that
absolutely
working
and
with experts
so much, Natasha, you know what the challenges I see a lot of times, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and my friends over at Facebook, you know, I apologize in advance, but the challenge that I see is that we're living in an Instagram world, and we've driven a culture to make everybody believe that everything's in an instant, and it is not. Right? We also think that we see somebody doing something and we think we're going to put a spin on it, or we can do that too. And we're driven and motivated typically by the wrong things: the money, the men, the mansion, whatever it is. Right? And the challenge is with that is that when we don't really operate in our purpose, even if you have some level of success at it, you're not fulfilled. Because you're not doing what you should be doing. You're doing what somebody else should be doing. You just happen to make a few dollars at it. And that's not what God intends. We are all, God doesn't have to make a copycat. He is original with what he does with everything. We all have our own unique talents and abilities. And guess what? You might host a show and someone else might host a show and whatever else. because you have your audience, you have your voice, you have the people that God has intended for you to touch and deal with their hearts, their situations, what's necessary. Doesn't make you less or better than somebody else. So the question is, why do you do what you do? You know, where is it in you? Are you really doing this because this is what your purpose to do, or it's easy to make money, or you seen your girlfriend do it, or you got the men, the money, and the mansion to, you know, to get here? And I think that that's the part we got to uncover, because even if you are successful, it's like building on not having a solid foundation, on sinking sand. If I build something and it has to do around people, eventually it's going to come to a fall if I'm not a people person. Because what's going to happen is my negativity is going to shine throughout my leadership. It's going to set the tone and culture of my business. My business is going to flourish that way. And then eventually, even when I get to the part of expanding, I might not be able to. Or eventually people are not going to want to do business with me or any of my people, because I've bred a culture that sucks. I mean, you can find all the fancy words you want for it, but that's the truth. So, I mean, the thing is that it's time out. And I think that we need to get around some reality. And success is not based upon what you see on Instagram. We are building our life off of people's pictures. And half of them is rented and bought anyway, and photoshopped and everything else. So it's time to be real, and time to be able to prepare ourselves truly for the next level. And that takes investing in yourself, being surrounding yourself around the people. We don't have to know it all. I don't know it all. I always say, guess what? I know how to hire the people from Harvard who do. So you have to go with your gut, and you have to understand that there's a reason why people are around you, and you have to know when to pivot and adjust. You need to know how to let go of some folks and some things and some ideologies. And sometimes in this transformation process, there's a lot of folks we got to let go, because we're holding on to things that are weight, and they're not meant to allow us to soar. So whether it's unforgiveness, backbiting, whatever those kinds of things that are operating in our lives that keep us from going to the next level. Because it will keep us from going to the next level. You can only pretend to be who you are, but for so long. And eventually you get tired of pretending.
Absolutely. I agree. I would say that this year I've had a lot of growth and progress, and that for myself, goals that I'm like, ooh, check off. And I would say that I've also had the biggest purge, and really separating myself from people who, even like you're saying, like, even if they're friends, even if they're family, it's about focusing on you and your path. And you have to cut that dead weight, and people really struggle with that. So I'm really glad that you can affirm that for them, because they need it. You can't say it enough. And I think that until people start to do it, they don't see that positive effect in their lives. And then once they do, it's like, that's what they were saying. Yes.
Because you know what the thing about it is, also what people don't understand is people project their fears on you. So, you know, they're going to tell you what they feel like they can't do. It's not even about you all the time. Sometimes it's really about what they're dealing with internally. So you have to be mindful of your circle. Now, I'm not saying don't use wisdom. You know, I have type people around my circle that I feel like, you know, I can be transparent. I can be open. You know, I'm not always poised and put together and nice about everything. Sometimes I'm tough. Sometimes I'm working through things. I cry like everybody else. I struggle through situations just like everybody else. And when you have those moments, you have to have the right people around you, because though there are people that will inject their fears into a vision that you're capable of doing, but now right at the moment, or for whatever reason or season in your life, you might not be feeling like that. So you have to have the right people around you that understand your vision, that can help you execute your purpose. There's no hidden agenda, you know, because without, and sometimes being able to move to the next level, we can't share your dreams with everybody, because they're limited in their minds. So they're going to tell you all the ways you can't, you shouldn't, you won't, it didn't happen. And they're going to remind you of all the past mistakes that you potentially have made. But that doesn't mean, if they're not assigned to your life to tell you those things, they're just another distraction in the enemy's way of keeping you from moving forward. If I had listened to all these distractions in my life, I match clearly the statistics of being a mom that's on drugs and all the other stuff that you can possibly think that's out there. But I don't look at anything like my statistics. So thank God for picking me up, blowing off my dust, and me being available to be used, because that's a key point too. You have to be available.
Absolutely. And Mark Breeze wrote, with so many entrepreneurs in the world, who's one person that really inspires you, Terri?
That's a great question. I would say Janice Bryant. You know, the thing is, of course, there's the Oprahs and the Michelle Obamas and all of that. And
Yeah.
yes, I absolutely love my girl Sarah from Spanx, that I've had a chance now to, you know, communicate. But I say Janice Bryant because she is a African American woman. And what I feel the most about Janice is that she came from the South. She moved to Los Angeles. She's actually the first African American woman that's a billionaire, even before Oprah Winfrey. And nobody even realized that. We didn't give her praise, right? Because she's not on TV. She's in human resources. She created a staffing organization. She is at the top of her game in the political arena when it comes to helping with policy and what's right and what's not, and how to staff appropriately and people being paid. And, you know, she sits on so many amazing boards, but she's an African American woman that made $1 billion before we even talked about $1 billion. And she's not a basketball player, a TV personality. She don't write a song. I mean, you got to be on your game to make it. There's not a product she has except for people. You understand? Like, she's not selling shoes. She's not, you know, she might be selling them now, Janice. My bad if you're selling them now. I didn't know you were selling them, but I'm just saying. You know, you gotta really be on your game to execute a business. And she has, I think, over 17,000 employees. Like, I mean, she's dope. She's dope. And she did it at a time, a period, where we didn't have as much say-so in the business community or arena, especially as a female and a Black female. So I think that that's pretty dope. So thanks for asking me that question. Yeah, because she's a pretty awesome woman.
Absolutely. I'll have to look into her. Hopefully I can speak with her. She sounds really amazing. Yes. So
she is. She is.
With that, I know you're busy, so I do want to just take up a couple of minutes just for you to share your journey as being a mom with an autistic child. Like, you know, what was that like? What were key resources for you so that you could share that with other people? And thank you for everyone watching on the live. And if you watch us on the replay, essentially, what were the key things for you to be able to kind of manage that and feel inspired and get everything that you need so that you could, you know, make your son's life the best life that he could have?
So Jaden was the last of the Mohicans. Totally a surprise, unplanned. I mean, I was doing what grown people do when they're married. I don't know why it was a surprise, but it was. Yes. You know, so when he came along, I had 2 girls. I felt like I was at the top of my game in my career. I did not expect to have a 3rd child. And, you know, when my son came along, you know, I was happy. It was a boy. Finally, I get to pick something outside of rainbows and pink. Although there were not very many options. So I almost started a kids' clothing line for boys because of that. But with that being said, we survived through Gap and bought all those cool things that they had. But really, what I will say is that Jaden's taught me so much. I mean, he has sharpened my skills with negotiating. Wonderful. He has taught me patience and love and being able to surrender and focus. He has taught me to see past challenges oftentimes that, you know, I didn't even realize or recognize that they were stumbling blocks in my life. It has not always been easy. It has definitely been a challenge, but I think you can't talk about something or where you've never been. So I think that it's intentional that God has allowed that for me. You know, it tested me in every area of my life that some areas I didn't even think existed. When he was diagnosed, initially my son was a walking neurotypical kid, milestones all achieved. He had a fever, he had shots, he had a fever. He lost all ability to point, speak, and was back in a diaper, and on the outside looked completely normal. Wow. So imagine having this child where no one can tell you all of a sudden he's changed and everybody thinks you're crazy. And I'm like, no, they're blaming the fact that he is in the house with 3 other women. We all talk for him, you know, just all these things. And I knew that something was wrong. And I would not hear my son's voice for another 4 or 5 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars that poured into Jaden to take him to all the right services and all the right therapies. And then finding out that he was diagnosed with autism is what created, you know, what launched or inspired me to launch Jaden's Voice.
Yeah.
The part that was probably the life-changing turning point for me, and I say this for anybody out there who's dealing with pain of any sort, God makes no mistakes. Zero. There is definitely purpose in our pain. We don't see it now. We don't understand. We are drawn in by the feelings, and I have had to realize that I can't operate off my feelings. I have to operate off my faith. And faith and fear can't live in the same space, so I have to choose which one I'm going to serve.
Absolutely.
And in this process, when they came, they had told me that Jaden, when he had all the red flags for autism, the lady was walking to the door, and she said, "Don't worry, somebody's going to come to your neighborhood. He'll be able to get all the services that he needs." And I'm in the middle of having my own pity party. I'm like, Lord, I feel the Lord asking me, like, ask that lady what she means. I'm in my own head, like, I don't want to ask her what she means. I have my own pity party. This is about my son. I'm mad that he's diagnosed with autism. And the Lord, literally, I'm still walking this woman to the door, and he was like, I swear to you, the Holy Spirit clear as day said, ask her what she means. So I'm crying. My door is open. She's halfway standing in, halfway standing out. And I said, I know this sounds crazy, but what do you mean that people are going to come to my house and they won't come to others? And she said, there are a lot of homes, especially in minority communities, that people don't go to because they're afraid. We have a lot of young folks that go out that are not minority, and they don't necessarily understand the community. We have to beg and try to plead for people to go and give these children services and whatever. Absolutely. And at that moment, that's when I knew, okay, I have to do something, because that neighborhood she had talked about was neighborhoods I grew up in. She's coming now to the 24-foot ceiling house and glass front door and acreage and, posh neighborhood, if that's what you want to call it. But I didn't always live there. I didn't always live there. And for her to say that, I thought, what? Money is going to separate somebody getting services that they rightfully deserve, a family being able to get their needs met, something that they deserve, that absolutely not. So I knew then that those neighborhoods she was talking about, which probably being at my home, she didn't think that I was from those neighborhoods. I said to her, those are neighborhoods I'm from. And I can't allow a child to not have because economically they don't have, right? Yes. And at that point, when Jaden lost his voice, I became his voice. And when I recognized there was this issue in our community, I became the voice of not only just Jaden, but our community. And I put my money, my time, and my energy and everything to where that is. And why I say all that is because you asked me about being a mom with a kid on the spectrum. It's not easy. When you have to go into meetings, and you had a kid, now Jaden is functioning a lot better than what he was then. But during those times, he had meltdowns. He cried. There were behavioral issues. I remember my assistant coming to, I was in this very important meeting doing a $500 million deal. Wow. And they're like leaning and pressing their face like, you got to get your son. He's having a major meltdown. You got to get him. They're going to actually call the police. I'm like, call the police on a toddler? All of that. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Similar to what we're already dealing with in certain communities. Yeah. He's a toddler. But the thing about it is that I was stretched in a lot of places. But now in hindsight, I understand I needed to be stretched so that when I went and spoke and dealt and fought and advocated and worked with these communities, I understood it. So again, there's pain. There's purpose in our pain, everybody. We don't always understand it. God even connected the dots, my early childhood until now. Sorry. And I appreciate you asking me that. It changes daily. I'm on planes a lot. I fly to foreign countries. I'm always spending a lot of time away, but I also spend a lot of time dragging my son to everything. So autistic kids don't like change, but he's been forced. So now he gets it. He'll say like, okay, if we go to all these places, can we just sit down for 1 week? Like, he negotiates back and forth with me. Yes, so that's amazing. Wow. It's been a good experience for sure.
Awesome. Okay. And I guess with everything that you've learned from your journey as a mom, as a serial entrepreneur, as a woman of faith, I guess what would be your last minute words of advice for people who are dealing with trying to figure out who they want to be in this world, or how do they elevate and level up who they see themselves, and it's just they're not connecting with that person yet.
So if I would say this, you are not a copy, you're an original. Mm-hmm. And each one of us, I mean, when you think about, and you know, again, I am faith-based, and that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day as to why. Yeah. There's true evidence in my life, and I know that everybody doesn't mm-hmm. believe on the same level, and they have their own thought.
Yep.
But whatever you believe, understand this. From a faith-based perspective, mm-hmm. you have to be spoken into existence. Mm. There is no mistake. If your mama didn't plan you, your daddy meant to pull out. Sorry to be graphic. But whatever the situation is, you are spoken into existence. Mm. You cannot exist without God saying so. Yes. So what that means is, let's just start right there. Let's mm-hmm. just say from that perspective, there's intention and purpose in your life. There's no reason for God to speak you in existence if he doesn't have a plan for you.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a plan. And the challenge is, if each and every one of us is different, and we're orchestrated by design intentionally, like this scarf. So mm-hmm. this scarf is not made up of one thread, it's made up of many. But in order to get this particular pattern that's on this scarf, it takes mm-hmm. all the different threads in the different directions with the different colors and the uniqueness of each yarn to mm-hmm. create what this awesome pattern is, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. We're all the same. It's the same exact way. We are mm-hmm. part of a bigger picture. Yes. And when you are trying to find your purpose, don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Look inside. Yes. Figure out what it is. What are you good at? What is it that somebody's saying to you? You know what? Wow, you speak well. Or I sure love how you wrote that. Or, mm-hmm. you know, you do this good. You know, it's funny that we are reminded of who we are, how we're supposed to be, or what we're mm-hmm. supposed to be. We just don't hear it. We oftentimes reject when we hear people say certain things like, oh, you put that together? That's great. 9 times out of 10 in that, your purpose is floating in that. You might not have matured into your purpose yet, because what's happened is you're looking to the left and you're looking to the right, trying to mm-hmm. identify yourself. And you're not going to find yourself in someone else. You're mm-hmm. going to find yourself from within. So I would say that, you know, for those of you who have not connected, make your first investment be you. There are events that happen, you know, I won't say everything's like next level, but there are certain people that you need to connect, change your circle, make sure that you are associating yourself with things that help you grow, get in uncomfortable spaces so that you can make relationship with people who have more, seen more, have done more, experienced more than you. Yes. You know, if you're the biggest fish in the pond, you better find another pond to swim to. Because the thing about it is that it shouldn't be that way. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is, like I said, the reason why I'm so, I want people to understand that it starts with them is because sometimes we always say, well, I don't have the right pedigree. I didn't come from the right parent. I don't have the right education. I don't have, listen, I promise you, you have everything within your distance and what you need. It's available. The problem is you're blurred by the situations, the circumstances, the people, the agenda that you got. If you want to be a celebrity, just admit you want to be a celebrity. Stop running around like, I don't want to be famous, but you soaking it up with every good part. I mean, just be okay with who you are. Yes. And be honest with who you are and start working on those things. And it starts there. It really, really, really starts there. You have to do self-homework. Because the experiences, the pain that we go through in life, it will either take us or we will conquer it. Right? We will either curve to it and fall back to it, or we'll conquer it. It's there for a reason. Absolutely. You are one of the most incredible people I've ever spoken to. And, you know, it's just, absolutely. It warms my heart, because a lot of what you're saying is exactly, you know, the principles that I believe in, that I share as a coach. And, you know, I hope that you touched
everyone listening and watching this, because I think that, you know, life is hard when you refuse to take the advice and the content given to people that will transform your life, right? So thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your beauty and your willingness to give the essential keys for success and making people have the best lives that they can absolutely have.
And you know what, Natasha, I want to say this, and I'm trying not to be emotional about it. I just believe in people so much. And I know that if people only knew just a piece of my story, you know, my son is one thing, but if they really understand the hard, challenging times I had to go through, you know, I shouldn't be sitting in the seat I am today. And there's nothing that makes me any better, any different than anybody else. It's my level of belief and my level of belief in myself, my purpose, not wanting to be like anybody else. We all struggle with that. You know, you see things like, oh, I want to get there. I want to do those things. There's nothing wrong with admiring certain things, but it's a whole nother thing when you try to take on the persona or activity or action of someone else. You need to be okay with who you are. And it's extremely important as an entrepreneur to understand that, because you block your own creativity when you want to be like someone else. And you only do that because there's something that's happened in your life, in your history, your timeline, you know, that has created you not to see the gifts, true talents, and purpose that you have.
Absolutely.
And I really want people to see who they are, not who the world has told them that they need to be.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for everyone watching. And please watch this again and absorb everything that she shared, because it was amazing. It's one of my favorite interviews. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye,
You too.
everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone.